Obviously kind of shifting gears to a federal level, and this is still unknown. We know Federal Reserve and Congress, kind of dipping into finance for a second, has provided a lot of stimulus. I mean, the Federal Reserve Chairman Jay Powell said, like, we're going to keep basically giving you the playbook and what we're doing exactly, printing money. We'll do what we can as much as possible, make money available and liquidity. Congress, they're going to have to figure out and vote and do what they do, right? We know that. But they have provided, it sounds like will continue to provide some sort of support and stimulus going forward. What might, do you think, be the impact of all of this on our education system?
So before this, the feds contributed, less than 10% to state education systems. A lot of state finance is driven, or a lot of ed finance at this is driven in states is driven by the state. So at Texas, a lot of ours comes from our sales tax revenue and property tax. So I think with this pandemic and, there's been a decrease in sales tax revenue. I can say that for Texas. We know that our budget for next year, so like right now, 2020, 2021, doesn't look as uncertain as 2021, 2022. So I don't have a great answer to this question. I know that when there is more money in the system, there are more resources that are available to more students. I think when we start scaling back and pulling back on resources, which I think probably will happen because there's going to be less money to fund these systems, we need to think about what we're going to keep for students and educators and what we're going to let go. And I think typically the first things to go are these social support services, which, this disruption and the fact that we don't know what's happening to some of these students when they're not showing up, I think we should keep more social services in school rather than pull them back. And I also don't think the priority right now should be on, a standardized test at the end of the year. I think it's going to be really hard to assess what a typical third grader should know when it hasn't been a typical third grade year. So if there's less money, I think we need to, as a country and as the states, need to think about how we're reallocating those funds.
Yeah, I think it's a to be determined situation for sure. I mean, it sounds like, we don't know. We sure probably haven't seen the last of the stimulus or support programs. I think we just don't know what it'll look like. I know I was on the phone with an interview this morning with a municipal bond manager just earlier today, and this was talked about with respect to Colorado and some of the other municipalities around the country that they manage. And every state seems to have, including Texas, as you mentioned, has different rules. And no matter how good or bad, let's just call it good, some of these metropolitan areas are doing, it may not be in sync with some of the rules around municipality and tax revenue and how it's applied, right, to the different, let's just say, school systems. And so that's something that definitely, I know in Colorado there's been cuts, and we'll see how that evolves. But that's something that hopefully we'll get more insight as we approach the fall, it sounds like.